Hey, welcome to another album today, and today I decided to go back to probably one of my favorite bands, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and today we have By the Way, one of their most iconic albums, probably one of their best, I would argue. Like, this is fucking peak Red Hot Chili Peppers, honestly. And yeah, this album is actually quite big, comparatively speaking, to some other albums that they have put out, at least for this time. And this album has 16 songs, which is actually quite a bit for their own standards. And this album, as with every Red Hot Chili Peppers album, gives you a very summer vibe, but contrary to perhaps The Getaway, which was more of a, maybe it's raining during the summer afternoon, this is just straight up like summer vibes, like sunny outside, everyone sort of just chilling, having fun type summer vibes, right? Not to say that actually the album is very diverse in the type of songs that you have. Yeah, sure, you have, upbeat songs, you have funky songs as well, like it is very, upbeat and whatnot, but you also have more sad songs, songs that show a certain, perhaps emotional side of Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is actually something that I don't see a lot of people praising Red Hot Chili Peppers for. While yes, a lot of their songs are really good, they're really catchy, they're really funky and everything, they also know how to do a lot of emotional songs. For instance, in this album, we have a couple, but Venice Queen. Venice Queen is an absolute gem, right? Sitting at 6 minutes, right? It's really great, the way it progresses and everything, it's so good, and I just think that people don't give Red Hot Chili Peppers enough credit for the emotional songs, especially because, and something that I find really, really cool, is that the guitar work is always very good in these albums, right? And it has a lot of different sounds to it, which is really great to just create an entire atmosphere, and usually you have the bass accompanying really well and filling in the spots that the guitar doesn't fill in, so it sounds so good on that regard. And in the emotional songs, that is even more true, because in the emotional songs you have the guitar actually doing a lot of heavy lifting. Look, as much as Anthony is a decent singer, I don't think, especially in the emotional songs, he's a really good singer. I feel that a lot of these songs, especially with a stronger singer, would be really good, right? And it would be much better. However, that's where the guitar comes in, and that's where usually the backing vocals come in, because John here is fucking amazing when it comes to the backing vocals, right? Like, again, the vocals aren't the best, but the backing vocals are so good. They're on point, and they just completely carry the songs. They create a second atmosphere, and then with his work on guitar, pretty much John and Flea just make like the entire fucking song, and then you have Shad there giving that context to that tempo, on the drums, really fucking good. And in the emotional songs, you really feel like the backing vocals of John, really make these emotional songs so much better, especially during the more tense moments, the more climax moments, right, when the song is going into this crescendo, look, again, Anthony can't exactly belt very well, or at least again, his voice doesn't sound so grandiose as a lot of other singers do, right? So when you have all of those backing vocals sort of rising up from John in those climax moments, it makes the song so much better. And they are really underrated in my opinion, because they really do a lot of heavy lifting to create the atmosphere of a lot of songs. And then again, his guitar work smashes so well with those backing vocals, right, to create this really good atmosphere, right? As for the other songs, the ones that aren't as emotional, the same is true, but you do feel a lot more bass, especially, although I do think that bass is maybe a little bit underrated in the emotional songs as well, but obviously because it's more emotional, they're not as present. Usually the guitar there is way more present, right? On the rest of the songs, the bass does a phenomenal job, sometimes in introducing songs, sometimes in establishing certain atmosphere alongside with the drums, right? And then the guitar just sort of is... I feel that in a lot of these albums, the vocals aren't the main thing, the guitar is the main thing, right? Especially with all of the interesting sounds and all of the different pedals and everything that you use, it's just... very interesting to see how much of the song's signature are the guitars and how much time and how much space is brought to the guitar, right? Like, oftentimes I feel that the vocals are more of an instrument in terms of, just giving sound to the song as opposed to actually being about singing. Like, I feel that in a lot of these songs, you could, not that the lyrics are bad, because I think the lyrics honestly are one of the most underrated aspects of Red Hot Chili Peppers. But you could replace the singing or the lyrics with just like, singing, and I think it would still work, because that's, I think, the job that the singing represents. Because I think that a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers songs are more about like the melodies that the guitar specially actually do. Because the guitar is, I think, king when it comes to a lot of these songs, right? And especially when you have such a huge diversity within them, and you have such a great player as John. I feel that they really make up the album, and then when you bring everything together, and when you bring, Flea and everything, and Chad in the drumming, I just feel that this perfect blend, that it's not completely over the top. And that's something about the drumming as well. I think the drumming is probably one of the most underrated aspects of the band, because it's not super over the top, but it's also not like lacking, so it's just the perfect amount of funky and of being present, because like I think it's so easy sometimes for drums to completely overshadow everything else, or to feel like they're not even part of the song and they're just sort of sitting there as like back sounds that don't matter. But here Chad does a very good job at just making them feel like they are part of the song in the same level as every other instrument, and supporting a lot of the other instruments. A lot of these songs on this album is more funky. There's a lot of melodies. Honestly, I feel that while I feel that this album actually is pretty good. Like I didn't like hear any song that I was like uninterested on. Like every song to me was really nice. And even the more chilled out songs, because the album opens with By the Way, which is the self-titled, which is very funky, it's very upbeat, and then it sort of tones down with the Universally Speaking, which is more chill, more relaxed, it gives you more of a lazy vibe, And This Is a Place completely changes the mood to a more like darker mood, a lot of it's more subdued, and then Those is just sadder, and it's one of the emotional songs of the album. And then Don't Forget Me sort of brings that sad, but also tones it down again, sort of like how This Is the Place did. Then you go to the Zephyr song, which goes into sort of this registry of Universally Speaking, and then you have Can't Stop, which sort of goes back to that By the Way registry. So you sort of have this thing where it's like you go from funky but happy to sort of happy but more chill, to a little bit darker, a little bit more toned down, to sad, and then that sort of goes backwards. And the truth is, the same thing is true for the rest of the album, although not as good, because you don't have the same pattern repeating, but you do have songs that sort of float between emotional song, more toned down emotional song, a bit more, up there, I guess, really funky songs that are a bit more chill, right? And then you end with Venice Queen, which is almost this anthem in a way. It's not an anthem, it's like it's a prog song, alright? It's like this song that starts very slow and slowly ramps up and ramps up and ramps up until it ends in this cacophony of instruments and singing, which actually is a very good closer to the album and very good representation of what the album honestly has to give. Overall, this is just fucking vibe central. Like there's a reason as to why Red Hot Chili Peppers are very, very, what's the word? Related to summer. People usually think of summer when they hear them, and there's a reason for that, right? Because the songs do feel like almost every single one of their albums. This one compared to Getaway is more on the out there, everyone is having fun. It's not as maybe internal or lonely, I guess, right? So, but again, you still do have a lot of great emotional songs in it, and you also do have a lot of very funky songs in it. I love this album. I think it's my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers Peppers album. Honestly, I don't think there's any other Red Hot Chili Peppers album that I like more than this one, because this one just hits that fucking perfect spot, you know. Yeah, honestly, my vibe meter, I think this is an easy one. This is a 10 out of 10. You know, like it's just a 10 out of 10. It's very good. Yeah, honestly, I would heavily recommend you go listen to this album if you haven't already, and I'll see you tomorrow.